Supreme victory!
Jim Carrey versus Me Too. Oh man, no one can escape the wrath of Me Too. So some of you probably heard this already, but let me break it down. So as you guys know, Sonic the Hedgehog came out on Valentine's Day, and I guess it did pretty well in the box office. Last time I checked, it did like well over 50 million over the weekend, which that sounds pretty good to me. So I'm actually gonna see it maybe in the next few days or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I props to the studio, seriously, for taking the time to fix the egregious problems that Sonic had. It's weird how they got to that point in the first place. That's always the thing that's always the noodle scratcher, really, right? When people, like, don't you test screen stuff? Isn't there just, like, any Sonic fan ever, anyone ever that even remotely likes Sonic, would they see that and be like, that's absolutely terrible? Like, no way. No, like, absolutely not. Why wouldn't you just make him look like Sonic? What is this? Like, I always wonder decisions like that. I always wonder decisions. Sometimes I think it always comes down to the artists, that they're just being very pompous and they're like, I want to take my direction. I don't care about the fans. I want to put my spin and my stamp on it. And I'm like, piss off, man. This isn't for you. This isn't for you, piss off. But I digress. So Jim Carrey, doing the rounds. He's got to do some interviews, and I think it was in the UK when he was doing this interview. And I can't remember the outlet. I apologize to the outlet. It's Heat something. I don't think it's Heat Wave, but it's something with heat in it. But I do remember the girl's name. Her name is Charlotte Long, that was interviewing Jim Carrey. And he's in hot water because of the question she asked and the response he gave.
After all you've done in your career and in your life, is there anything still left on your bucket list?
Just you.
Oh, wow.
That's it. It's all done now.
I don't know what to say to that.
I know. Just own it.
Just you. I mean, look. All right, so there's only two ways to really interpret this, and there's only two correct ways to approach it. So you got to listen to what Jim Carrey even said after. Like when she said, is there anything else like that you want to do or something? And he says, just you. And she's all like, ha, like how, she's all like kind of taken back by it, but she's obviously giggling and having a good time. And then he says, it's all done now. I'm pretty sure that's what he says. So that should kind of let you know, well, clearly it can't be sexual. He can't be talking about something sexual unless they banged beforehand. Like if he's actually talking about doing her and he said it's all done now, he's talking past tense, or he's talking about like it's done. So what is he talking about? What could he possibly be talking about? Oh, maybe he's talking about the interview. When he's talking about just you, maybe he's saying being interviewed by her, by Charlotte Long. He must be talking about that. Because otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. Unless there's something we don't know, like they hooked up prior to the interview. And if they did, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, good for Jim Carrey, man. He's getting up there. He's almost 60 years old. And he's smashing someone like Charlotte Long. Charlotte Long, she ain't bad, man. She ain't bad at all. But like, so on the real though, there's really, that's the correct way, in my opinion, how you would interpret that because of the language that he used. But now, let's break it down. Let's just say he was talking about banging her. Like, let's say he like, oh, I want to bang this girl. And that's what he literally meant. Was that so bad? Would it be so bad either? Because the language that he used too, just saying just you, is like the most PG way of saying that. The most, I would say a PG, not rated G, but PG for sure. And then look at her response. She's giggling. She's loving that. Even if it was about that, I would say, oh, it's about to go down. They're definitely going to smash. And good for them. I mean, two consenting adults. Anything wrong with that? Not whatsoever. Now look it. And let's go with the narrative that it was about that. It was about him wanting to smash her. Let's say she gives a negative reaction. well, then it turns a little complicated, right? Because even though what he said was kind of harmless, her reaction means everything. If she gave like a grossed out look and kind of like an how dare you say that, I'm a married woman, or whatever her response would be, then maybe getting some backlash would be somewhat understandable. I would still find it hilarious, to be honest, if I'm talking about this scenario. But at the same time, I'd be like, I understand why people are mad, because he didn't read the room. She didn't like that. And maybe Jim should be like, hey, my bad. You know, I was just trying to be funny, and maybe the joke didn't land or something like that. But clearly, in this scenario, if he was talking about banging her, the joke landed, because her reaction wasn't a nervous laugh. It was totally just like, I mean, Jim Carrey was saying, just own it. That's how that would be interpreted. But let's go back to what I was just saying before. When he said, like, done, like it's all done now. He can't be talking about that. He just can't. So what we have is people, because there's people that were tweeting stuff out. There's people that were outraged, of course. There's people that were just losing their minds, thinking that, oh, Jim Carrey is so inappropriate. What a gross person. Jim Carrey needs to be canceled, you know, all that shit, because, you know, it's the whole Me Too, cancel culture, you know what I'm talking about. But it just, how did we get here? I mean, I feel like you have to really want to be mad about shit to really be offended by that. Because when I first heard that, I was like, he must be talking about the interview. I can't see it any other way. And believe me, I want to see it in the way of him banging her. Because in my perverted mind, that seems much better. That seems way more fun. And look, I don't know if Jim Carrey is married, if he has you know, I don't know if he's with somebody. Because maybe things would be also kind of complicated if he was with somebody. Like he has a girlfriend or a spouse or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you're hitting on her. So I'm imagining at this level, Jim Carrey probably has somebody at this age. I'm just assuming. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. I don't really care that much. If he does have somebody, I mean, you got to think he's definitely talking about the interview. And it's just like, I cannot believe you're really grasping at straws. You want to talk about reaching, right? I always use this joke about that was a greater reach than Halo. You can find that, man. I don't know. The first time I probably used that joke was probably 2016 or something like that. When I really started to get on Twitter, because I've always had a Twitter. I've had a Twitter since 2009, right? Like fucking pretty much everybody has. But no one really used it. And then I started using it when it's like, okay, I'm starting to gain an audience, and like, let me try to put out some one-liners and let me try to be funny and stuff. But yeah, this is so ridiculous, and I can only imagine how fast would I be canceled. Like legit, how fast would I be canceled if I was as famous as Jim Carrey or something like that? Because the type of jokes that I say, the stuff that I would say to her, you know, the stuff that I've said about Jeanette McCurdy, for example. Man, like, I do like being where I am, legitimately. Like, I have an audience, and I'm very grateful for that, but I am a Z-grade E-celeb. I do not matter in pop culture whatsoever. And that is 100% fine with me. But it's just like, imagine just getting to a level to where, like, all of a sudden somebody can take all those tweets and then the little comments that I've made about Jeanette McCurdy and just be like, this he's so inappropriate. This is harassment or something like that. I'm like, number one, I'm just joking. Yes, I do find Jeanette McCurdy attractive, and I think she's really chill and funny and all that stuff and very talented. But at the same time, I'm joking. I'm here to entertain. I'm here to have fun. You know, if I really legitimately 100% was like, I want to court Jeanette McCurdy, I wouldn't be acting like a fucking goofball, because that shit ain't sexy. You know what I mean? If she stumbled upon that stuff, I don't think she would be flattered. You know what I mean? So and the way that she is, I think she would understand that I'm joking. So that's why I continue to make passes. Because it's fun. Like relax, guys. Like, I remember I saw a guy, I think I've made like 2 references to like, oh, I love Asian women. I put that energy out there. I'm talking about, I think it was just twice. Like, okay. And there were just like cute little subtle jokes. Like, hey, yeah, I really like Asian women. But at the end of the day, like, I made a video talking about like, have I ever dated black women? Because this was a question that came up quite a few times. And I thought, what an odd question. I've only been like popular on YouTube for like 2 years. It's 2 years out of decades of my life. You know, so it's kind of weird how people try to put you in a certain box. Like, I've never seen you with a black girl, so have you ever dated any? And it's like, yeah, I have quite a bit, actually. Especially when I lived in LA like a decade ago, briefly. And there's a lot of black women here. A lot of gorgeous black women here. Went on a lot of dates, you know? It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I'm the type of person, I'm looking for the connection. I really am. I'm one of those gay people. I want that precious connection and all that stuff. The looks is like the icing on the cake, right? So when I say like, oh, I really love redheads and I really love Asian women, it doesn't matter. Fun fact, I've never dated an Asian woman. I've never dated a redheaded woman. So it doesn't matter. So, I mean, it's just like people kind of need to chill out a little bit, right? Now, I know I'm getting way off topic, right? I'm not talking about Jim Carrey anymore. But I think it's always nice when you kind of deviate from subjects and stuff like that. I think those are always the most interesting talking points, when you can kind of get to something else that's somewhat interesting. And I think that's always interesting right there. Talking about preferences and different perceptions people give off and stuff like that. I think it's because, you know, I'm not a stereotypical black guy, right? That was the reason why people were like, oh, I've never seen you. I've seen you date 2 European women, so you must not be into black women. Weird. Very weird. It's a weird conclusion to come to, but at the same time, it's not surprising, because I always say we have a critical thinking problem in just all over the world, where people have the original thought and then they don't go any further with it. And it's like, man, if you would have only just held on to that thought and just kind of thought about it just a little bit more, maybe for 10-15 seconds longer, you would have gotten to the next threshold and been like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And then you kind of expound on that. That doesn't happen. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to Jim Carrey. Kind of bringing that shit around. You like that? You like how I brought that right back around? No, but for reals though, I think that's what happened to Jim Carrey. 100%. Just people didn't listen to what he said. They thought about it and they're like, oh, this sounds inappropriate. And then they didn't hear him when he said, like, it's all done. Oh, wait a minute. He can't be talking about banging her, like wanting to bang her, and that's it. He must be talking about the interview, because he's saying it's done. That's the thing that's happening right now. So it's finished. That's it. It's all good. Chill out, people. Fuck.